Welcome to Life Mastery Radio with Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey, the show that dives into the science of higher consciousness with inspiring topics such as abundance, intention, health, manifestation, love, and transformation. Join Todd, Jackie, and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery. It's all right here with stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Now, here's your hosts, Todd and Jackie.
Hey, it's another groovy day, and it's even groovy because groovier. Is that a word, Jackie? Groovier.
Sure. I think so.
Because this is the first show of the brand new. So 2023 is just like this brand new baby year. It's just waiting to grow into something spectacular, like we all have grown up into something spectacular, but it's brand new, and you can begin to mold that brand new baby year into anything you want. So I really want you to think about it. And it's a groovy day because it's Life Mastery Radio Day, of course. I get to hang out with my groovy co-host, Jackie Bailey, and we have some really cool guests with some really compelling thoughts and ideas that will put you on the edge of your dreams and wishes and whatever it is that you want to bring into the world to help you with your very own life mastery journey. We're here, we're giving you some tools. Take the tools, leave the tools, but we're planting seeds for tools that you want to use in your future. And with a brand new baby year, your future begins right now. We've already lost one day, so here we go. You make it the best, and Jackie and I are going to make it the best for you with Life Mastery Radio. Yay! As always, my co-host is with me today. Hi, Jackie.
Hello, Happy New Year to everyone. 2023 is going to be awesome.
Yeah, 2022 is in the record books. It's
sayonara.
Later. And 2023 is upon us. So what are some of your big visions, Jackie?
My big visions. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that today with our guests, because we are going to be featuring a couple authors that are in a book that I am also in, and very excitedly that a few of my students have been published in as well. And we are taking them to Los Angeles to speak on a huge stage in front of perhaps 25,000 people.
Whoa.
To talk a little bit about their chapter, but also about their particular stories. And these two particular girls that are in this book are 11 and 12 years old. Pretty amazing, huh? And then we hope to have a few more of our students come with us to Los Angeles as well. So that's what we have in the works.
And these are your students. So they've gone through your guidance. Let's call it guidance, because it's not really
mentorship. Yes.
Mentorship. And then they had the opportunity to write a story, because this book is a compilation of stories. And they submitted them and got accepted. And wow, that is so cool. 25,000 people. Come on.
Yeah. Well, actually, what is more correct is these students were part of our summer camps. And one of our summer camps was creating a keynote speech in a week. So we worked with them about discovering their stories and the experiences they've had. And then how do you put those stories into a message that we then call a keynote speech? And so at the end of the week, these students delivered their keynote speech. And Orrick, our guest today, offered me a chance to be in his upcoming book. And I said, hey, wait a second. I have a couple of young people who would love to be authors in this book. And he was so kind and generous to say, yes, let's give them an opportunity to be in it. So they already had their keynote speeches developed. And I called them up and I said, hey, how would you like to take that speech? We can tweak it a little bit, make it a written format, and we can put you in this book. And so that's actually how it went down. But they were so excited about that. But now they get to go from the keynote speech to the story format written in a book to now putting it out on stage in front of a real audience of people. So what a journey, huh?
What a cool opportunity. Can you imagine Jackie being 11 or 12 years old and having that kind of an opportunity? And it was just following a dream, right? Following a heart and speaking from the heart and talking about things that you're passionate about, and the doors just flung open for these young people, and wow, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I don't have the data to prove what I'm about to say, but I have seen with my own eyes that when our children feel empowered by their own experiences and stories, and they know someone is hearing them, whether it's on a stage or in a written format, they are far less likely to be bullied, far less likely to take their own lives. They are more likely to be successful academically, to have more and better friends, healthier friendships, to be more trusted by parents and teachers. And I mean, the benefits are tremendous when you feel empowered to speak, and when you also know that you're being heard and listened to. There is just no greater superpower. And so to be able to give this to the youngest and perhaps some of the most vulnerable humans in our existence, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Acknowledgement, confidence, humility. I mean, building those kinds of skills and sensing those kinds of things in our lives that early, the return on investment is just huge. I mean, you can't even, these kids could eventually be the president of the United States for all, really, with that kind of confidence entering the world. So it's pretty cool.
Wouldn't that be cool if they gave me some credit for that? Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So I'm excited about our guests today because they are also in this book, and especially the producer of the book itself is with us today. So we get to talk about all that went into that and the incredible stories that everybody can contribute and bring to the table. And, you know, I think what we all need to realize is every experience we've had has shaped us. And we can, you know, the best thing is when we can look back those experiences and go, yeah, that was really rough, but wow, I learned so much from that. And it's taken me into the next experience and the next one after that. And so books like the one that Orrick has produced allow us to read the stories of so many people that we can connect to and go, I have a story like that. And I didn't realize that I could inspire so many people with my story just simply by sharing it. So
yeah, and the name speaks for it. What's the name of the book?
Developed Thru Darkness.
Developed Thru Darkness. Yeah.
And the the tagline is the difference between being planted and being buried. Isn't that cool?
Talk about that book, because we have the creator with us today. But before we do that, I want to remind listeners that today's show page is at www.lifemasteryradio.net or .com, whichever one you prefer. Any links that we talk about will be on that show page. We have a link already to the author. I think the book, we'll find out more. It can be found on Amazon. And while you're there, you can check out my book,
Yay.
6 Keys to Life Mastery, and Jackie's other book, her very first book.
There's my 3 books back there, plus number 4.
4
yeah.
books. You're 3 ahead of me. I don't know. Links are there. You can Google Jackie Bailey for more information on the Speak Feed Lead project, and that's where kids can find their heart, find their confidence. So all the links are right there on lifemasteryradio.net or .com. Lastly, Jackie creates a blog post every week about the show we just did, and it highlights who's been on the show, who's coming on the show, and like I said, the blog post about that week's show, and it's really good. It comes in your email. That's all we use that email address for, so you can keep updated on everything Life Mastery, and of course, Life Mastery Radio. Okay, Jackie, I think we're done.
All right.
House cleaning house. Today is your guest, so that means you have the intro. Take it away.
Delighted to do that. Yes, as I already mentioned, I gave a little bit of taste of what we're going to be talking about, but Orrick Quick Sr. has devoted his life to helping others bring their thoughts and ideas to life on stage, in a book, and even a musical album. Pretty cool. As the owner of Oak Tree Publishing, LLC, Orrick has worked with countless authors, speakers, and artists. Earning an athletic football scholarship with a bachelor's degree in sports management was one of his greatest achievements. And Orrick's mantra is, never allow your past to have a meeting with your future without your potential being present. Yay. So Orrick Quick was a TV co-host for the Fox daytime talk show, The Preachers, and a featured guest on the Dr. Oz show twice. Now, he's recently published this book, Developed Thru Darkness, which, as Todd said, is available on Amazon. And we have another one of these contributing authors with us today, Cynthia James and myself. So we're going to have a great conversation about the book and the contributors that are compiled in it. So welcome, Orrick. Great to have you with us, and Cynthia as well.
Listen, I am excited and delighted to be with you all. It is a blessing, and I just count it a huge accomplishment just to be able to put your thoughts on paper and be able to give them away so that people can be empowered, be enlightened, to be encouraged along the way. And so I'm just grateful for the opportunity.
Well,
You know, Orrick, that's interesting that you bring that up, because that's kind of the way it works. We share our stories because people are out there and they think, oh, it's all about me. I'm the only one experiencing this. I'm the only one going through this. I'm special. Nobody else knows what's going on in my head. And then they read stories like this and they think, I'm not the only one. And look how inspiring this is and how this person overcame it.
Absolutely. And what that does, that helps people to recognize that they're not alone. You know, one of my greatest illustrations is that I remember when my daughter used to have these nightmares, and she was, and this is my firstborn. Well, I got 4 kids now, so this is many years ago, but she used to have these terrible nightmares. And so I really prayed about it. I said, okay, God, what's going on here? Why does she keep having these nightmares? I mean, you could hear her tossing and turning in the night. And I'm like, what's going on here? And so one particular night, it all happened again. She's crying in her sleep. And so God said, Orrick, don't wake her up. Don't take her out of the fight, but empower her in the fight. And I said, okay, so how should I do this? He said, go up to her ear and whisper these words. Daddy is here, mommy is here, and Jesus is here. You don't have to fight by yourself. And all of a sudden, the most amazing thing happened. She stopped crying while she's still asleep. And I said, whoa, what just happened? And God spoke to me and said, Orrick, the enemy convinced her that she was fighting by herself. And that is what happens to a lot of us. We're convinced that we're all fighting by ourselves. We're all alone, but yet there's somebody that's going to come to your aid once you figure out that you're not by yourself. So it's, yeah.
And ask for help, right? If
ask for help.
If you're in that much humiliation and you seriously ask for help, the help comes. It's just, as long as you're open to it. You know, I like to say your head's up, tail out from between your legs, and you're looking around for the opportunity to come, right?
That's right. Hey.
So what inspired you then to create this particular book, Developed Thru Darkness, and how did you put it all together?
Yeah, so I've been in some very dark places in my life. Coming out of depression multiple times. My mother died in my arms at the age of 15 years old. And that was just terrifying. It was just traumatic. And it took a lot to come out of that place, come out of that mentality. And so, but while I was coming out, I was taking notes. And so it is, and on top of that, I've been dead twice. I've had to learn how to walk over 3 times in my lifetime. I've been in 2 deadly car accidents, brain damage, blind in the hospital. Oh man, you name it.
Wow.
I've been through some things, been in a coma, and I mean, just been through I was in a hospital for 8 weeks, in a body cast for 13 weeks. And so I've just overcome a tremendous amount of dark times in my life. And so this book, what really inspired me is that not everyone understands how to come out of a dark place. And sometimes you're more vulnerable when you don't have the proper tools to fight back. And so what this book does, it provides and it arms individuals the right tools, the right weapons to fight back and come out of a dark place.
Wow, that's amazing. What are you not learning, Orrick, that you keep having to repeat these things?
We're going to be praying for you, Orrick.
That's
Keep
right.
you covered and protected. Oh my gosh. I'm writing it down as we speak right now.
Maybe we need to whisper in Orrick's ear, your father is here. Your mother
Jesus
wake
has
you
got
up from
this.
these
That's right.
nightmares, right?
Listen, sometimes, many times I've asked God, I said, God, why am I going through all this? And I'm like, how old am I? Like this is the lifestyle of this is the life of time of a person who's 90 years old. Like, I feel like I've gone through so much over and over, but it was designed for me to go through it so I can turn around and help others.
Yeah.
So
That's the
Absolutely.
way it
100%.
works.
Yeah. And so Cynthia is here. She's one of your contributing authors. And what is it about her story that you felt was important to be part of this? And then maybe we give her an opportunity to share a little bit about her story.
oh man. Well, I don't want to spoil it because no one can tell their story better than they can. But when I met Cynthia, Cynthia is she's very genuine, and she honors her craft, right? Anything she does it with all of her heart. She puts everything into it, and I like people who love to cross T's and dot I's, and that's the kind of person that Cynthia is. And so her story is just so significant and kind of stands out on its own. What I love about this book is that everybody has a different story. Like, I really can't say that everyone has the exact same story. Everyone has a different story. And Cynthia's story, I don't want to spoil it, but her story is really coming out of a dark place and being groomed. I mean, she was literally groomed in this dark place. And so she had to develop certain techniques to come out of this dark place so that she can become who she is today. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to you, Cynthia, because if I keep talking, I'm gonna spoil it.
No, I'm high-fiving you. Oh, brother, pastor, I love everything about you. When I saw what you were doing and you blessed me with even saying, hey, do you want to be part of it? I'm like, pick me, yes, because it resonated. We walked through different things, but our spirits are the same because it makes us resilient and it makes us tough, and it makes us have that grit that we need for our calling that God's preparing us for. And so for me, we were like sisters and brothers right there in a minute. Yeah. We connected. And so when you offered this to me, I'm like, I have to do this. I was compelled to do this. And I feel like, God has been on my heart for probably 8 years telling me, you need to tell your story. You need to tell your story. Yeah. I've done the background stuff, and I want to do podcasts, and I want to be out there telling people. And I've done youth pastoring for 15 years because I want to compel, just like what Jackie said, my heart is to help the next generation. Let me grab your arm and pull you up out of that pit. Because you know what? You've got amazing gifts, and I want to show you. And nobody did that for me. So I felt like I was in one of those, what do they call them during Halloween, where you're in a black house and it's all dark and it's a scary room, but you're walking into the walls because you can't see because it's dark. But then you run into something and it grabs you, or it screams at you, or it scares you and frightens you so bad to your core.
Haunted house.
Yes, haunted house. You think I'd know that? I was born by Halloween, within 24 hours, 27 hours from Halloween. And so
Wow.
that's part of my story, that I became a witch. They dressed me up as a witch as a child. They had all these scary things. The enemy got a foothold, and I became a witch, a Wiccan witch. And they told me it was a white witch and it wasn't bad. And so I just jumped in. And when I do anything, I do it all or nothing. So I did. And I thought it was a way for me to control my life, because it was so horrible through growing up with 9 dads, 6 moms, the beatings, the kick, all of it that was so horrible that I go into a little bit, that I just like, I want to control. As soon as I graduated from high school, I left the next day from my family, because I was like, I will. And then somebody, of course, the enemy had it perfectly lined up. Let's teach her how to have control. Oh yes, pick me. And I did all of it. I did it so good that I was just a good white witch. Did not know what I was getting my foot into and how deep it got. It was like quicksand, because it just got worse and worse and worse and worse until it was into the stuff that people hear about and they don't believe it's real. I saw the realness. I saw the ugly. I saw the stuff that I didn't even want to know I saw. And I wanted to run so fast, I held my breath because I didn't know what to do. I had nobody to turn to. And so the mentoring to me is why I jump out now and talk. And so you gave me that opportunity to just, this is my first writing, my first ever putting my thoughts, my experiences on paper. And I've just been told I wasn't smart enough. I didn't write good enough. I didn't do anything good enough to do that. And it was another blocking wall why I haven't yet. And Orrick, you gave me that opportunity. You gave me that confidence. You made it good for me to be able to show people that I was born to battle. I came from the battle state of Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada. Was born to battle, but I didn't know how to battle. I didn't know what tools to use. I didn't know how to use them. And God showed me through 20, almost 30 years now being a Christian, I want to teach the next generation while they're young and have them know this is the tool. This is the heart that you keep and protect it. You put the armor on, all of that. You, Orrick, you gave me this wonderful opportunity to share that with people. And I'm just not going to stop now because of what you did. So I'm excited for the opportunity. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. I told you, I can't tell you a story the way you can.
Cynthia, did you have any reservation about putting it all out there, or was this, because what I hear in your voice is just passion about experience. And I know for me, when I wrote my book, I put some things in there, and a lot of people have, how could you throw yourself out there? How could you put that all out there? And I felt it in my heart to put it on paper and let the world see it and hear it and read about it. And did you feel the same way?
I did, because part of it was, I even actually talked to my sister and brother about it. And I said, because there was some things I was saying about our mom, because I was the first kids, that I didn't want to say anything bad about her out of honoring her. She's passed now, but still, I wanted to honor her, but it was real. It was facts. So, and they had to know that because she wanted to abort me. I was supposed to be dead. And so with that said, I didn't want to disrespect her. So it took a long time to talk about that, but I go and speak in front of abortion places and things that we talk about that. And that's a hard place to go because everybody has such mixed, it's a whole mixed pot there, right? But I don't look at anybody different when they're on the opposite side of me, because I still love them. That's what makes them who they are. We may have different opinions, but we both came to it because of our experiences, right? But we should be respectful to talk about it, and let's engage in conversation. We shouldn't be afraid in this world to talk in love. So for me, I was a little worried about this.
Yeah.
The book's been out for a little while. I think it's a little over 2 months, right, Orrick? It's been
No, actually, it came out just before Christmas.
Just before. Oh, so it's fresh off the press. So,
fresh. Yeah.
Cynthia, what I'm thinking is the book's been out just for a little short period of time, and I'm sure you'll get many comments and testimonials, but has anybody reached out to you because of this story?
They have. People in Las Vegas who knew me in high school had no idea I was a witch after high school. And I just had my 45th year class reunion. So they're looking at it going, wow, what? You were like a wallflower. You were this quiet person, because I was being beaten and all this horrible stuff was going on and I wanted to get out. So I was a very quiet person, and then told that I couldn't talk and I didn't have a brain. you can't even go to college because you're not smart enough. So I'm a different person now. I know who I am and I know whose I am. So that was a big deal. And then friends in South Carolina, they all reached out to me going, oh, Cynthia, thank you for speaking out, because I did a lot of advocacy in South Carolina. So they were like, yay, we are behind you. Tell us how we can help. So I love that it was a really mixed pot on what they said. So it's kind of cool. And I feel empowered now to go speak more.
You're just electric. I can hear it in your
Yeah.
voice. I can see it in your presence.
Well, and Cynthia, I think what you illustrate well is that you lived in darkness and were searching for light. But because you lived in darkness so long, it was hard to recognize light. And so you thought you were heading into a lighted phase of your life by becoming a witch, but in reality, it was just more darkness, right? And I think that a lot of times that happens. And Orrick, perhaps there's your story and other stories of other contributing authors that can illustrate that too, that sometimes we get into such a dark place.
Yeah.
We want to find light, but it's hard to recognize because we're just used to the darkness. It's like, it's hard to follow when you're in a dark cave and someone lights a match.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if that's the only light to follow, that's what you go for.
Great
until
analogy.
Perhaps you see greater light, maybe a big flashlight or a lantern at the end of the tunnel too. So I think that that's important for everybody to understand, is the stories that are in your book help by sharing their stories. The authors help everyone reading it to say, this is a little bit of light, but now to create your own light in a greater way, this is the next step to take. Because I do enjoy very much that the authors give some steps toward how to get out or how to find your own source. So, Orrick, do you have anything to add to that? Oh, here comes Carissa. Yay. Do you have anything to add to that, or are there other stories in the book from authors that illustrate that same idea of?
Here, Orrick, let's put Jackie on the spot. What did you think?
Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah, good.
I'm sorry, what was the question? Say it again.
I just said, hey, let's put my co-host on the spot, Jackie, and what was it about her story that jumped out at you?
Yeah, so absolutely. When I first met Jackie, we were part of a competition, of course, speaking competition. And Jackie is the type of person where, her story really gravitated to me, because, she digs deep into details, and really grabs hold of your heart and pulls you out. And so I'm just very grateful for us to have the opportunity to work together, because her story, it helps other people come out. The whole point of the whole book is to help other people come out. Like Jackie was just talking about, if one person has a candle and that candle is lit, but everybody else is holding the candle, but it's not lit, what you have to do is take your candle and connect with their candle to light their candle. And that is exactly what this book does. We're connecting with other people, lighting up their candle with our light. And so that's exactly what Jackie's story does, exactly for all the other authors in the book as well.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Orrick, you've got a couple of chapters in there. What are the titles of your two chapters?
Yeah. So, man.
Did I put you on the spot?
No, it's just very dear to my heart. Hopeless, but not speechless. And Oak Tree Faith. Hopeless but not speechless is dedicated to my mom. Like I was saying earlier, my mom passed away when I was 15 years old, and she died in my arms when I was 15 years old. And so it's really about how, Cynthia was talking about how she was almost aborted. Well, I was in the same situation where it came from the actual doctor. The doctor told my mom that she needed to abort me. My mother, she was diagnosed with lupus, and we all know what lupus does to your organs, what it does to your body. And the doctor told her, listen, you are not going to be able to carry this baby full term. If you don't abort this baby, you could die, the baby could die, both of you could die, or even if the baby lived, the baby will be a vegetable for the rest of his life.
Mm.
Well, I'm not a vegetable, but I do like vegetables. So,
Well, you were several times in a vegetative state to some degree. though,
Exactly. I was
right?
thinking that too. Man, they're still trying to put you there, man.
That's right.
Plant you under there and be a vegetable. No.
so it really just highlights my mother's perspective and what that looked like to hear your own doctor come to you and tell you that, when you hear that you're pregnant, that's a time of rejoicing, joy,
Mhm.
happiness. But then you go to the doctor and the doctor says, you need to abort this baby. And so it really talks about from her perspective and what she had to do to really overcome the doctor's narrative to really enforce her own narrative. So
Was she a big person of faith, Orrick? Was she a big?
oh gosh, was she a big person in faith? You're going to start a whole conversation.
Oak tree of faith right there tells everything. An oak
Well,
tree
that
of faith.
answers the total
Woo!
question. Yeah.
And what a lot of people, part of my story, one of those stories when I told you I was in the hospital with a coma, body cast for 13 weeks, that was because I flew out the back windshield of a car. I was 11 years old and flew out the back windshield of a car because we got T-boned and we flipped 3 or 4 different times. And I flew out the back windshield and the car ended up flipping on top of me. Well, nobody could find me except for my mom. My mom saw my clothing under the car and she was the person who actually lifted the car off of me.
Wow.
Now, my mom was not a bodybuilder. She was about 150 pounds dripping wet, but her faith was extraordinary. I mean, her faith was just on a whole nother level. I look forward to getting to her level of faith one day, but yes, she was a mighty woman of faith. So,
Love it.
Well, I think it's very sweet and moving, Orrick, that your mom did not listen to the advice of the doctors
Mhm.
She
to
knew
take
better.
your life, but that you, at the end of hers, were there to hold her. I think it's very, very sweet. She held on to you, and you were able to hold on to her. So I know
man.
it's tragic and it was traumatic for you, but I hope that when you look back at that, you see what a tremendous blessing that was for you and her.
So Orrick, Jackie submitted a couple of stories from her students, and I'm just really curious, are these the youngest authors in the book? And what jumped out about these 2 stories that her students submitted?
Yeah. So, what jumped out to me is, at the ages of 11 and 12 years old, they have a tremendous amount of courage. Like they just stand out. And when you read their stories, I mean, it's colorful, it's enlightening, it's encouraging, it's uplifting. I mean, it reminds us of the imagination that we're all supposed to have, right? And so it reminds us that we should never lose hope. We should never give up. We should always keep pressing, keep pushing. And so I'm just grateful that they were a part of the book, and they are the youngest authors in the book. So
good.
I'm excited.
So good.
Well, Jackie, enlighten us a little bit, just briefly. What were their stories about?
Well, Uma, who is 11, she shared a story of when during the pandemic, when she was not allowed to go to school, she visited Zambia in Africa, where her mother was raised and went to school. And while there, she saw that the young girls they were not required to attend school. And in fact, most of the time could not attend school because the government didn't support the education of girls. And so she noticed all these girls her age were actually working jobs while she was visiting there, and she couldn't understand why their education was less important than the education of the boys. And
That's
so
the way
she
you change the world. That's the way
yeah.
you change the
So
world.
that's what her
right?
chapter is about, is
Great.
how she discovered that. And she gives some other narrative about education. And even though she was out of school, that she recognized so many people had less advantages than she did, even though, she was out of school. So it was just a great change of perspective for her. And so she talks a lot about that. And then Ashvi talks very simply about learning to swim the breaststroke, where you have to swim like a dolphin. And while learning this, it was very challenging for her to try to swim like a dolphin. It requires a lot of coordination with your body, and she just didn't feel like she could do it, and she didn't want to do it. But what she realized is that with the help of friends, not fins, she said, then she learned that she could accomplish anything if she just tried and gained support and worked at it. And I think in a more simplified version, it's the same message that a lot of the authors give, is that you can't do it on your own. And that if you want to excel at anything, even something as simple as swimming a particular stroke, you've got to seek out, you've got to have help, you've got to have mentors, people who care about you, support you, and help you to see you through all of that. So they are definitely simple stories, but they are still inspiring and can connect to whatever situation you find yourself in as well. So yeah, really fun.
Nice. That is so very cool. And Orrick is great. What do I want to say? Just great light for you to be able to recognize that and include them in your book, right?
Yes, I'm grateful because this everything was not, there are some things that are just not planned. They just happen.
Yes.
And so those are the things that really captivate the world, the things that just happen, And so I'm just grateful for, when I reached out to Jackie, Jackie said, "Hey, I want to connect you with my students. I want them to be a part of this." And I mean, the rest is history. And now we are all in this wonderful book, Developed Thru Darkness, the difference between being planted and being buried. And what that does, a dark place, when you're in a dark place, back in 2016, I lost my house in a house fire. If I had not gone through enough,
yeah, amen.
I lost my house in a house fire, lost everything, had to start completely over. And it put me in a dark place. And so when you're in a dark place, you don't know if you were planted or buried. You don't know if you were left for dead or left for development. You don't know when you're in that place, when you're in that dark place. And so you just have to learn how to put one foot in front of the other and just take one day at a time. Because in that moment, you don't know if you're going to survive it or not. And so what we want to do in this book is teach people that you too can make it. If we made it out of our dark place, you can make it out as well.
It looks like we have another one of your authors on board with us today. Carissa, are you there? It looks like you're muted.
Yes, I am. I'm here. I've been struggling with getting on. I apologize.
No worries. Is your camera not working?
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. So Orrick, what was it about Carissa's story?
Yeah, so every you try to get me to spoil their stories, but
we'll ask her about it, so you can talk about it all you want.
But no, Carissa, because every single person, this wasn't like just some free for all person. Hey, if you want to be in the book, just be in the book. Every person that I talked with, it was almost like an interview process. I mean, I really wanted to understand their story and why they wanted to be a part of this book. And after talking to Carissa and understanding how her fitness and the area that she was in was all connected to her past, and how she's helping people today come out of a dark place because she was once in a dark place as a young child, and how it's just amazing how our emotions affect our bodies, like the way stress affects your body, and what you're going through mentally can put a strain on your organs. And so Carissa's story really talks about how, what she went through was really affecting her natural body. And so I'm gonna leave it up to Carissa. I don't want to spoil too much.
Let's just say it took a lot of guts for her to write the story,
that there you go. That's right. You know, and Orrick is correct. There, what I've noticed from even reading the book, everybody's gone through some kind of trauma. And for as much as we address the physical aspects of health, how much trauma has an impact on our overall health. And it's been scientifically proven that it's oxidative stress, and trauma is stress on our body. And stress is probably the #1 cause of all of our diseases. And whether it's cancer, whether it's, you know, even our autoimmune diseases and our lifestyle diseases, it can come from stress. So I went and reached towards the beginning of where that started for me. And tell you what, it's hard to put a lot of information in one little chapter, and you try and can make it concise as possible. And then there's the spiritual aspect. So coming out of all of this, my experience of a certain amount of, there's freedom of forgiveness. And so many of the authors talk about that as part of their journey as well. Forgiveness helps us heal. So there's a lot to a healing journey. And it's not just about physical. It's not just about the food we eat. It's encompasses so much.
So my big question then, Carissa, is what have you gotten from this? Was it an awakening? Was this the first time you really put it together and put it out there? And what is the gift that you've received?
Well, that's a great question. I have to tell you that it was hard for me to go back because in some ways I buried it. In some ways I forgave it so much that it was hard for me to even remember how I felt. And going back and allowing myself to feel it all over again, because you have to relive it again, you know. And I had to feel the emotions from those experiences, and that was the hardest part about writing this. But what it did bring me to is having more empathy for my patients that I work with, from just being real with myself, because I personally have gotten to a place where, well, I'm the holistic health practitioner. I know how to quote unquote fix things and deal with things and you know, rise above this stuff that I pushed even my feelings away. And it came from from more of a, maybe a critical, I don't know if that's the right word I want to use, but and not, I don't know what word I want to use, but it wasn't as empathetic. Not that I don't have empathy, but my own feelings were displaced.
Maybe it was a new awakening and a new perspective on others, especially others that you're working with. I mean, that's I think the person that receives the biggest gift from becoming a life coach is the life coach themselves, because they get a clear understanding of the internal workings of themselves just through going through the training. So it's totally in. So have you gotten any feedback? Have you gotten anybody to come up and say, wow, what a story?
Oh, it was, you know, when I was writing this, my husband was helping me go through and make sure that I put things in the right order. He's a good project manager, you know, and they see things in order. And he was like, oh, I didn't realize. Now this makes sense when you react. now I understand more of this part of you.
Wow, there's
Yeah.
power in what you just said.
Yeah.
Especially in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not just a close relationship like that, all relationships.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the great
Yeah.
byproduct, the understanding that comes that we can have with other people is
Mhm.
see them differently when we know their
Mhm.
story, which is why it's so important to tell our stories, because that
Mhm.
gives us such greater understanding. And
Yeah.
Chris, as you're talking about the emotions you had to feel while writing about it,
Mhm.
imagine on a stage speaking about that and being able to also feel those same emotions, but not let it overpower you to the point where
Yeah.
you keep
Yeah.
speaking. That's where it's a little more challenging as
Mm.
when you start sharing it verbally, is to be able to
Mhm.
control the emotions that you're feeling. But you have to feel them in order for the
Mhm.
audience to connect with it.
That's right.
Mhm.
Um,
Right. And
That's a really good question, Jackie. I just got to know the answer to this. So, Carissa,
yes.
have you ever spoke to 25,000 people before?
Not 25,000. No, sir.
How are you feeling about that?
That's pretty it's intense.
Well, I know a really good person who is a speaking coach, and I'm sure she can put you on a level where you will just knock that audience's socks off. Her name is Jackie. I don't know if you know her.
And I've
Find her
seen
and
Jackie on stage, and you're right. She does
Yeah.
do a really good job with those emotions
Yeah.
and doing a good job with getting her word out. Very good.
Mhm.
that
Thank you.
coaching people to speak from their heart and feel
Mhm.
confident about doing that.
yeah.
You
So
know, and
Chris,
all
the
of this
title of
too is an
your
opportunity.
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jackie. I'm
I was
sorry.
just going to say the title of your chapter is A Healing Journey,
Mm-hmm.
which is nice for everybody to know that you talk about the ways you needed to heal, and then you provide some answers to that. So go ahead with what you were going to say.
Yeah. Oh, I was just thinking that one of the things when I'm working with patients is guiding them to get curious, getting curious as to where they're stuck, because we push things down back. Let's say we push things down so much to finding all of that again, to not so much push it down, but to let it go.
I like that.
Letting it go and releasing it from our bodies.
Wow.
Being curious.
That's what takes us to the next step, right, Chris?
Right.
Curiosity is, and I've been accused of this all my life. It's, Todd, you ask why too much. Why do you have to know everything? And it's just like that's what
My
drives
husband
me.
sound like a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Why?
Wow.
Why?
I'm a
Why?
white child
How?
too.
Why?
Even
Yes.
for ourselves, and
Yes.
Orrick, you could probably speak to this, is why did this happen? Why does it work this way? And I listened to a podcast that you were on, and I was just blown away because I did the same thing. Is where you challenge God.
Yeah.
You stood there flat-footed and said, okay, I need proof. I need to know that this is the deal. And it was a true test to your own faith and to keep you going. And ultimately, in the end, you were just blown away by the synchronicity.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I was raised up in the church. But when I got to high school, I got to a point where I'm just like, if this ain't real, then I'm going a different path. I'm old enough now to know. I mean, I respect the Bible stories, all of that, everything that I was taught, but it came to a point where I needed to know for myself that I was not going down a road that just my parents taught me. I need to know that it was deeper than that. And so I wanted to go to college, and I literally went to God on my knees. I said, hey, I need to know if you're real or not. That's what I need to know. And if you're real, I'll do whatever you want me to do. But this is the thing. I want to go to college. And in order for me to go to college, I need a specific number on my SAT to get to college. And I said, look, I'm not going to ask you for a general number. I want to know if you're real or not. If you're God, if you created all of this, the heavens, earth, see, this is an easy thing for you.
Exactly. Very easy.
This is not hard. This is not hard at all. And so I never forget, I just got off the phone with a football recruiter. I ended up playing football for NC State, Wolfpack, go Pack. But I was talking to a recruiter at Elon University at the time. And he said, well, in order for you to be accepted, you've got to have this specific number, at least this number on the SAT for us to accept you. Well, when I got off the phone with him, I went straight to God. I said, hey, I want to know if you're real or not. I'm going to ask you for this exact number on my SAT. I don't want a number higher. I don't want a number lower. I need to know if you're real or not. If you're not real, I'm telling you right now, I'm going down a different path. I don't care if I'm the preacher's son. I don't care if I've been in church all my life. I need to know if you're real or not. And I took the SAT the first time, didn't get the number. Took the SAT the second time, did not get the number. Took the SAT the third time, the results finally came in the mail. I opened up the piece of paper and just dropped the piece of paper on the floor. I said, that's lower than what I needed. What happened? Did I not have enough faith? And I'm starting to question everything that my parents taught me about God, about church, everything. And I'm like, and I'm literally on the floor with my knees up to my chest, tears running down my face, because now I can't go to college because it's lower than what I needed. I've been studying. I'm not putting everything on God. So
good man.
Yeah.
Faith without works is dead. So
that's right.
And so, but it was lower than what I needed. So I'm sitting there crying on the floor, and all of a sudden I hear this voice as if someone is standing in the room with me. And the voice said, "Are you finished?" I said, wait a minute. Listen, if you wasn't God, I would tell you that that's a little rude, just a little bit. And so I said, well, yeah, I wiped my tears. He says, now I want you to grab all three of your tests and spread them out on the bed. All the three separate times that you've taken the test. I said, what is that going to do? He said, just do what I tell you to do. So I ran and grabbed all three of the tests, put them on the bed. I said, okay. He says, now, Orrick, you do know that you can combine scores. I said, wait a minute. I forgot about that, because I was taking each individual score as the score. But with the SAT, you can combine the two highest scores, because with the SAT, it's like a reading portion and a math portion. He said, take the math portion you took the test the first time and combine it with the reading portion you took the third time and tell me what you get. Man, I took out a calculator so fast, and it was the exact number I prayed for. It blew my mind. And from that day forward, I've been just sold out. Like, I'm just like, okay. And then I'm sitting there blown away, right? I'm like, whoa, you're real. He said, yes, I am. I'm like, okay. And then he said, he had the nerve to say this. He said, if you would have asked me for more, I would have gave it to you.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Now you know.
There's your sign.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness, my friends. We just have a couple of minutes left. This hour just flew by. I hope everybody had the stories. I mean, we could go on and on and on for another hour anyway, but I want to thank all of you for showing up as you today and sharing your heart. I think we made some really great content for others to be inspired by today.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for having us.
Thank you.
Excuse me. And Orrick, I want to have you back because you have a couple more books. Maybe quickly tell us your other book. Is it 4 or 3 books?
Well, I have my first book was Your Reign is Over.
That's the one I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Revealing the enemy's greatest tactics. And of course, Developed Through Darkness. And I have some other books that I'm also going to be bringing out as well. Yes.
And you
I'll
have
share a
a,
little bit. It's
you-
called Pink. Pink is my favorite color, Embracing the Battle.
Oh.
And so it's a collaboration book that helps, it connects with other women and men who have gone through the whole breast cancer experience. Now, when I say men, of course, you know, there are fathers, sons, brothers who watch their wives, their sisters, their aunties go through this, and they were a part of that process as well, which gives them a story and a perspective. So it's most definitely going to help a lot of
we
people.
might have to have Orrick back twice, Jackie. There sounds like some great content. You're a prolific
Absolutely.
writer. You got more in you?
Oh man,
Okay.
we're just getting started.
And you also have Oak Ridge Publishing. So I just want to throw this out there. If you have a really cool author that you're involved with and you think they would be a good fit for Jackie and I's show, Life Mastery Radio, you let us know because we'll have them on for sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's about all the time we have for today. Man, the show just flew by. I want to thank our guests and co-guests and my co-host, and keep an eye out for her blog post. It's coming out toward here in the next couple of days, and you can get that by signing up for the newsletter on www.lifemasteryradio.net. That's about
Thank
it.
you.
Like I said, lastly, here's the deal. Please, please, please make it a great day, because it is all about choice. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Life Mastery Radio. Join Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery through stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Visit their website, www.lifemasteryradio.com. Join their mailing list and be notified about upcoming guests. That's lifemasteryradio.com.